Welcome to On the Bauble Podcast, episode 120. I'm your host, Basa J. Wade, and with me is my co-host, Yuki Lee Bender. Today we're going to be talking about the newly spoiled Lyath spoilers that came out yesterday for us, and talk about basically just Lyath today, because we still don't have any of the other spoilers as of the recording today. It hasn't been that long since we recorded our last episode, but do you have any things to say before we start talking about the actual spoilers itself?
I guess touching on what we talked about last episode, I played more with Slippy. I don't think that hero is that good. It was interesting tuning into the battle hardens. Instantly, I'm proven wrong. Florian seems to be quite good, at least initially. I think to a large extent, people are playing decks that were good last format, and like not so much Gravy, not so much Slippy since they got nerfed. And Florian seems to be pretty good into those decks. And I guess the question is, will things adapt from there, and will there be a predator for Florian? But at least this first week, Florian did really, really well, had some very impressive results and numbers. I think it won at least one battle hardened. So yeah, shows what I know about the Germinate unban. I don't know how much of this is the Germinate unban, truthfully, but regardless, Florian was doing really well, which is interesting to see.
Fair enough. The funniest part is, like, Florian's main thing that's going for them still is just Falling of a Crown, and that card is just still good, I guess.
Yeah, and you have really good armor, like Grasp, Face Purgatory, Barkskin of the Millennium Tree, and Well Grounded. I think just like head to toe, Florian's armor is just incredible. It's so good.
Yes, it's so strong.
So yeah, cool to see Florian making a splash. Curious what will happen as we move into like the Super Slam metagame, since I don't think we have too many more events until Super Slam's release, if any. Before we move on to the main topic, I also want to take a moment to shout out our patrons. Thank you to all of you. You keep giving back to the show, and we couldn't be doing what we're doing without you, so we really appreciate that. And yeah, there's like the Bolton guide up there, and there will be some Super Slam content coming once we get all the cards, and once there's like a little bit more known about the set. So yeah, as we go towards PQ season, you can definitely expect more content there. You can check us out on patreon.com/onthebauble. And then also we're sponsored by Invasion, and if you would like to purchase singles from Invasion, who's one of the largest Canadian vendors for Flesh and Blood, you can check out their website. You can use the code YLB5 for 5% off to let them know that we brought you there.
Do you want to just move right in and start talking about the Lyath spoilers? There's not too many of them, but it definitely are some powerful cards that kind of like filled the gap for the Lyath decks that we're wondering how we mitigate the downside of Lyath's like hero text. And we definitely got some cards that mitigates a lot of it. So where do you want to start talking about it?
Yeah, we can just kind of go top to bottom here, how we have them on our notes page. So some of these cards have been spoiled for a little bit. Many of them are very recent, but we're going to just kind of do them all in one chunk. And we know that there's a few cards we haven't covered from some of the other heroes like Pleiades and that. We'll probably get to that as we get more of their cards, but for now we're just focusing on the Lyath cards. So I believe this spoiler, I believe we have for a little bit. This is called Leave Them Hanging. It's a red 3-cost Reviled Guardian instant aura that blocks for 3. It has suspense, so it comes in with 2 suspense counters. I think they all do, as far as we can see. And when this enters the arena, intimidate target hero. And when this leaves the arena, your next attack this turn gets +4 power.
And notably, this card is an instant.
Yes, that blocks.
Yeah, instant that blocks. But I guess a couple things to note here. It is a downside. It is an instant for Lyath, as his hero ability that pumps action cards don't apply to this card. So this card is a 2-block. But it is an upside because you get to intimidate at instant speed.
Yeah, and the other thing that you can potentially do with this is you can potentially like bluff a pummel with this. If you're keeping 2 cards back, you can represent like Leave Them Hanging or Pummel, and they have to guess which one to block around.
Yeah, that is true. I have a feeling that maybe Pummel might not make the final list in Lyath. I've been screwing around with like some Lyath decks. Not all of them with all the newer cards, but Pummel is not feeling as good as I thought it would be in Lyath, is I think what I can say.
Oh, and I forgot, perhaps the most important part about this card and how I think you'll probably be casting it most of the time is because it's an instant, you can play this on your opponent's turn and intimidate them during their turn, which is it's like a Scowling flesh bag kind of effect, which is really
It's better
strong.
than that.
Yeah, it's better than that. So
Yeah, I think when you do play it on your opponent's turn, this card's really powerful into like things that trigger at the beginning of the main phase, right?
Yeah. Can you imagine against like Valda's seismic surges or something? You can potentially like intimidate away their resources or intimidate away their attack. Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
That is. Does anything in Florian trigger at the beginning of the turn? Does like Embodiment of Earth? Is that start of turn or beginning?
It's action phase. Yeah.
Oh, it's the start of the action phase it destroys itself?
Yes, because I remember Icelander responding to embodiments with like for Briar.
Oh.
I remember like reminding my Briar opponents, you get an embodiment of Earth so that I have the window to respond.
Oh, that's gross. So you're telling me against Florian, they try and like keep a blue and a felling. They pop their embodiment, you just go leave them hanging?
Yeah. Yep. Definitely something you can do. So, yeah, I think leave them hanging seems really strong. Notably, it works on any attack too. So, generics, weapon attacks. This doesn't have the problem some other Guardian auras have had where they need to target specifically a Guardian attack action. This is just any attack. So, it's very easy to get the value out of the +4 on this.
Yes. It's that's the big thing about all of Lyath's like pumps or reviled heroes pumps is that they work on the weapon. And we don't at this point in recording we don't know what Lyath's weapon is, but at least right now we have Titan's Fist, and it working on Titan's Fist is huge gain.
So yeah, there definitely seems to be like multiple cards with this bonus attack or pumping attacks theme in Lyath, which kind of makes sense. We kind of speculated on this as a way to work around his values getting halved. So quite a few of the cards that we'll be looking at have effects that either do this or synergize with this. But yeah, leave them hanging definitely seems like a premium card for Lyath.
I guess while we are talking about the pumps, do you just want to just go over all the other pumps that got spoiled so far?
Yeah, sure, we can do that.
At rare, we have a new one. It's called Sadistic Scowl. So this card is a 3-cost red reviled action. It's a 2-block, and it says your next attack this turn gets +5. Intimidate target hero. Go again. So this is just basically leave them hanging, but it's a lot less flexible. But it just pumps 5 instead. What do you think about this one?
It definitely pushes damage. Being able to buff an on hit is pretty powerful, and this is kind of like a E-Strike Go Again stat line, which is typically not the best rate. Like E-Strike Go Again is sort of the mode that like you do when you have to convert, but isn't the most exciting mode. But in a 5 intellect hero, I think that this has some real potential. I feel like this like +5 for 3 has been like really borderline playable. Like we saw that with there's like Putrid Stirrings and Vincent. That's a Blood Debt 3 for 5 Go Again, and the stat line is like almost playable. And I think that even though it's the 2-block, the Intimidate and the 5 intellect, I think probably makes this good enough in Lyath. Is sort of my guess, or at least like a card that you want to bring in when you need to be aggressive. Like maybe you board this out when you're against the aggro decks and you're playing more defensively, and then you bring this in against like Verdants or something. I could really see that.
Oh, that's actually a good point. That you don't actually have to mainboard this card, right? Like you can like bring it in when it's good and take it out when it's bad.
Yeah. So I think that this will probably be at least a tool worth considering for the deck in matchups where you want to get more assertive.
I actually like that. Okay, yeah. I was like a little bit lower on this card because of the 2-block stat line. But yeah, now that you mention it, yeah, if you do need to push damage, like this card does push damage. And notably, this card also works on the weapon, right? So if you pitch a blue, play this, and then pitch a blue attack with Titan's Fist, it hits in for. If you have a 3-cost in graveyard, it'll hit in for 8, which is a 2-card 8, 3-card 8. Reasonable.
Yeah. And you could even potentially use this with Anathos and get to a 9 with it. So it's kind of like a Zealous Belting.
2+2+5.
Yeah, 2+2+5. So it's kind of like a zealous belting type effect for Lyath, which I think is, I don't know, notable.
Yeah, okay. Reasonable, reasonable. We also have a common revealed action. So this one called Villainous Pose. It costs 2 and it blocks for 2. And this card reads, your next attack gets +4. The crowd boos you. Go again. Notably, the text that says the crowd boos you is relevant for Lyath, as whenever the crowd boos you, you make a might token. So this card also just pumps for 5, essentially, right? Like, one is going to be delayed for your next turn, but it pumps 4 for this attack and one more because of the might token. So it's a 2 for 5 pump. Go again. Do you think this card's pretty good, right?
Yeah, I think this card's pretty good. I'm not sure if you'll want both Sadistic Scowl and Villainous Pose. I could see it, but it is a lot of this effect. Maybe you just build a lot of this and that's fine. But I think you'll likely choose between the two, and I think it will depend a lot on your resource curve. If the 2 cost helps you do like this into Tunic CNC or something like this, or you have like 4 costs that you want to play with this, I could see that being really useful. If you have lots of yellows, I could see the 2 costs being an upside. On the other hand, just for pushing damage, Intimidate is very good. So I do think these cards are kind of competing with themselves. Maybe you play both of them, but yeah, we'll have to see. I'm not so sure if you play both.
Do you think this might just become like the 3 cost is like, how current Victor plays out muscle at the 3 cost and zealous belting at the 2 cost for the go again like push damage Anathos deck? This is just like exactly like replacing those 2 cards in that style of deck, right?
Yeah, it is possible that maybe you just can board into both of these, and maybe that's what you do. I definitely wouldn't rule that out either. But yeah, we'll have to see. But they are very much that kind of like out muscle, zealous belting style card, which I think is good. I think Lyath needs some aggressive tools that are a little bit unconventional, because like E-Strike Go Again and Lyath is just not really acceptable.
If you play actually E-Strike, it comes in for 3, so it's even worse, right?
Exactly. That's sort of what I'm saying. Like typically Guardian has some Go Again options, but like Rouse the Ancients, very good in Lyath because it gets +7 and has 0 base, so you get the full 7 power. I think that's like one of the more impressive Go Again effects. But outside of that, they really don't translate very well. Like E-Strike, Out Muscle, Zealous Belting, all the cards we've been talking about that are the typical Guardian Go Agains are all basically like 2 cards for 3 Go Again, which, yeah, you're a 5 intellect hero, but that's just not going to cut it.
Yeah, that really isn't gonna cut it. So, yeah, I think it replacing those like the generic go again with these 2 cards is gonna at least give sideboard options for Lyath, which is a really big plus.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Moving on, not exactly a pump, but kind of similar. We have 2 steps ahead. This is a blue 3 block, 0 cost Reviled Guardian action aura. It says at the start of your turn, destroy this, then create a confidence and 3 might tokens. Notably, this doesn't have go again, so it will take your whole turn, but you can kind of play this as like a 1 card play that ships 4 value, right? 3 mites and the 1 block on the confidence to your next turn, which...
Sorry, that's not a toughness token.
Oh, sorry, it's the evasion.
Yeah, it's your opponent can only block with 2 non-block cards aura.
Ah, okay, my mistake. So this is 0 for 3, which is less good, but I think in a 5 intellect hero, still pretty good. And the evasion could be good for pushing an on-hit through. So a little bit different use case, but for a blue, this seems decently powerful as a 1 card play.
Yeah, I think so too. The biggest problem is like I can't really imagine Lyath having that much go again. Like there's gonna be these like pumps that you get to play, but after you play these pumps, you have to play an attack, and that attack's usually not gonna have go again. So I'm just like, is there a natural place you can play this card unless you like block out and then play this?
That's sort of the main pattern that I expect to see with this, or like maybe you can like leave them hanging and play this. I think having a resource card that sort of lets you, like for example, like you hold, again, like I don't know if CNC makes the cut, but like if you're holding like CNC in this card, you can put them in a spot where it's like if they arsenal, you play the CNC. If they don't arsenal, you play this card and arsenal the CNC. It's probably not the best it's like probably not exactly correct because like CNC for 3 is not really that good, but I do think that having like a resource card that can just be played out flexibly is pretty strong because it lets you sort of like you can keep it as a card to play the card in your hand, or you can block down to just this and have a one card hand. I think that yeah, I think there's going to be a decent number of spots where playing this is stronger than just swinging the hammer.
That's fair. That's fair. And I think the other point is like this is just a blue 3 block, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
you can just play it in your deck.
Yeah, if this wasn't a blue 3 block, I don't think there's any world where you play this, but because it is, I think that there's a real world where you could. There's also like turn 0 equity on this card that's pretty big. There is some tension. We mentioned Rouse the Ancients, so if you're a Rouse the Ancients deck, you probably don't want this. But as we go through the cards here, there are quite a few blues that have low power that are sort of interesting. There's a few others that we'll talk about, but yeah, I think Rouse the Ancients is a direction you could take the deck, but I could also see potentially cutting that package and just playing the strong reviled blues.
This is my take, at least for now. I might be completely wrong, but I have a feeling Rouse the Ancients almost always makes a deck, at least so far that I've been playing the deck. And the biggest reasons is like Lyath, because it's a 5-hander, you go through the deck a little bit more quickly, so you get to your second cycle a little more quicker. And it is not hard to pitch stack Rouse the Ancient and then just like get it on the 13th turn of your game. Or it's just like you just get to your pitch stack a little bit faster, and like your pitch stack's a little bit more reliable because you got to draw 5 cards. So I've been really impressed with Rouse the Ancient so far, playing with like a very, first draft Lyath deck. And that deck does not have that many high power cards.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I could see that. Regardless, there's definitely some tension here. So
Yes. It makes your first cycle Rouse the Ancient just the blue card.
yeah, and there's only so many of these like either non-attacks or low power attacks that you can afford to run before Rouse the Ancients gets like a little bit too bad to play. But I see your point. Maybe you can play a little bit larger amount of these than normal because you are a 5-hander, and this is still a blue, so this can be the card that you pitch to Rouse the Ancients.
Okay, then let's move on and talk about this. Would be like the weird clash package. It's like want to lose clash package. The first card to talk about would be the old switcheroo. It's a 0 cost, 2 power, 3 block reviled action attack. And this card ability says instant. You can discard this. The next time you would clash with target hero this turn, instead, you reveal the top card of their deck, and they reveal the top card of your deck. If you win the clash, they discard a card. Okay, before we talk about this card, what does this card like? You want to explain like how this card actually plays out?
Sure. So you discard this when you are about to clash, and then you basically clash in such a way that you imagine you have your opponent's deck and they have your deck. So their card is your clash result. So if they have a CNC on top, it's a 6. If you have a Rouse on top, it's a 0. But because you were clashing with their deck, you would win the clash, and then they would discard a card from the old switcheroo's effect, as well as you would get whatever the clash bonus was on the clash card that you played or blocked with.
Yeah. Okay. So you want to essentially lose the clash once you play this card, then, right? Like with your own deck, like with quote unquotes, lose the clash.
Yes, yeah, you want to lose the clash. So presumably, if you're playing this package, your deck is built in a way where you're just not very good at clashing in general. You probably have lots of zeros and this type of thing, and you get to play this to kind of like fix those clashes. So it's interesting. You kind of need a density of these for this to really work. The ceiling on it is pretty interesting because, like, if you, for example, Test of Iron Grip your opponent and then play this, they would discard 2 cards, one from Test of Iron Grip, one from Old Switcheroo, which is powerful. But when you draw Test of Iron Grip without this, if your deck is made to lose clashes, it's like,
You're right. Yeah, if you're playing a bunch of clash cards and you don't draw this card, it's not like you you don't have the option to not clash, right? So you're just gonna continuously keep on losing clashes until you draw the old switcheroo.
And this is an instant discard effect, so it's not like you can arsenal this and then save it for when you draw the card. You kind of have to draw them together. You do see 5 cards, so it's like a little bit better odds, but yeah, you would need. I think you have to be careful about which clash effects you include because losing could be pretty punishing, and then also this is yeah, it's an interesting card. I guess maybe like second cycle if you know both people's pitch stack, but
Oh, that's actually cool. Okay, 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 okay. Now I'm cooking as well with this deck. Oh, that makes me wanna try the second cycle old switcheroo. Okay, okay.
and it's a blue 3 block. I don't know, so it's interesting. There's a theme here. I think we need to see all of the cards to really know how good this theme is, but it's a pretty cool theme.
You know what would be so funny if this like the old switcheroo, because it's a reviled action, it might just be like for KO and not for Lyath.
That's a thing to keep in mind with it for sure, is that it might not be intended to be played with Lyath necessarily. It might be more of a KO card. We'll have to see. Okay, next card. Overturn the results. This is a blue 3 block reviled attack action. It attacks for 5 and blocks for 3. It says if you would fail to win a clash revealing this, instead you win the clash and the crowd boos you. This card seems really sick to me, so I'm like a little bit less sold on the old switcheroo. But overturn the results sort of says you always win or tie. It doesn't like invert the result. It's if you would fail to win. So if it's bigger, then it's bigger and you win. If it's smaller and you would lose, actually no. Even if you tie, you still fail to win. So this just always wins.
Yeah, if this card is on top of your deck, you always win a clash.
Yeah, and the crowd boos you.
Yeah, so you win the clash and you make a might token.
Yeah,
So this card is a thunk, one of those names.
thunk. Yeah, that always wins.
Okay, it's a thunk that always wins. That is a 5 power. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And notably, KO can play this as just a reviled action. So again, we're mostly talking about Lyath. It has Lyath's art on it, but technically anyone can play this.
Fair. This card also is like the same issue of like you need to play cards that clashes, and you need to play this card, right? So like I guess this card works a little bit better, just like being able to play like big power cards in general and play like
Yeah.
a bunch of clash cards, and then you just play this card.
Yeah. I think this is just a card you can put in your deck if you're playing clashes. It has a little bit less awkward tension than the old switcheroo, because the old switcheroo is like, well, I assume that if your opponent takes your deck and has overturned the results on top, they win. But I guess it's a little bit nebulous with the U.
No, I don't think that's how that works. I think there was a post very recently with like the old switcheroo, a thunk, and
Okay.
a clash card, and they don't make a might token even if they win on the thunk. So I think that that'll be the same thing with overturn the results.
Interesting.
Yeah, the I think I'm pretty sure we'll get like the rulings on that once the set notes come out. But I'm pretty sure if you old switcheroo and there's like if you revealed some card effect comes up, it doesn't do anything. With the actual example on like the post, it said like you reveal your opponent's golden sun. And even if you do that, like you don't make a gold token when you reveal the golden sun. So
Do they make a gold token?
no, like basically it doesn't activate any of like the if you win the clash with when you revealed stuff.
Interesting. Okay.
It's a very niche case with like a guardian mirror old switcheroo after playing a clash card.
And then my other question, I think I know the answer to this, but you don't control cards on top of your deck, right?
No, you only control cards that are on the battlefield, the combat chain. One of those. It's like anything that's on the board is a card you control. So like items and auras are cards you control. Heroes, weapons, equipments are cards you control. Cards in your hand deck are not cards you control.
And this is different wording than KO, the original KO, who says cards you own get +1, which makes it work in all zones. Lyath is only basically in play. So yeah, Do you want to talk about our last Clash card?
Yeah, this is interesting. It's called Fix the Match. It's a yellow 0 cost, 3 power, 2 block. It's a revealed action attack as well. And this reads, when this attack, search your deck for a card, then shuffle and put that card on top. Whenever a card defends this, clash with the defending hero. The winner creates a might token. So it's a vamp tutor. That's kind of new for this game.
Yep, you got to put any card on top of your deck, which is pretty strong. You don't have to reveal it. And I think the big thing with this card is you need to be increasing its power, because at 2 power, this is kind of whatever. It's also a 2 block. But if this starts coming in for 8 and your opponent, like, it's a matchup where they want to block, it clashes every card that they block with. So if they put 3 cards in front of this, you clash 3 times. And this is potentially really good for pushing damage through against a deck like Verdance. Like if you put this to, like, I don't know, you play the +5 and the +4 that we looked at, that's 9 power that you're adding to this. This comes in for 11. That's pretty scary. And if they put, let's say, like 3 cards in front of it, you clash 3 times. And you could do something like put overturn the results on top of your deck. They won't know. And if they choose to block, you clash 3 times, you would win 3 times, make 3 mites, and the crowd would boo you 3 times, so you would also make 3 mites. So you get 6 mites off the back of this.
Well, assuming your opponent has a 6 power on top, or a 5 power or better, bigger.
Well, overturn the results always wins.
Yeah, but it might not boo you.
Instead, okay, sure. So you might not get booed.
Yeah. So overturn the results only boos you if you like cheated.
I see. So you'll get 3 or 6 mites.
Yeah, 3 or 6 mites. Against some decks, beyond disgusting.
Yeah, like the threat of this is really real, I think. And then you also put them in a spot where it's like, I can get a different card and you wouldn't know, and you have to like call whether I'm getting that card and potentially punish you for blocking, or if I'm just getting a card for my next turn and then like you take 11 and like that's playing towards my game plan. Because it seems like Lyath has some amount of evasion, like we've seen some intimidate effects on a few different cards. So going low against Lyath could be scary, because you could just potentially get like intimidated into like one of the early spoilers we saw, bully tactics, which you can pay into and intimidate. So you don't necessarily want to go super low against Lyath, and Fix the Match is an interesting card. Buff the power of, especially in conjunction with overturn the results. Because it's a 0 for 3 2 block yellow, it's like a little borderline for me, but it's interesting. I can see the vision with this card. I just don't know if it's good enough.
Yeah, do you know the best part about this card? This card works with Nimblism.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, you can just be like, Nimblism, Nimble Be Quick, Fix the Match, be like an aggro deck with 5 cards. It's kind of sick.
Yeah, it is pretty interesting. So, yeah, this is like, I think some of the other cards we've seen feel like I'm like really sure that they'll see some play, or I can definitely see the place for this. This card is like a little bit more, it needs to have the right pieces around it, but it's an interesting like payoff card, I guess, for your buffs.
Yeah, I feel like if you playing Fix the Match, like this is like, you have to really like play into it and kind of be an aggro deck, because then if you draw all of these like pumps, Fix the Match, and all of the stuff, like your deck is not gonna block, right? Like you're not like a typical Guardian deck. Even if you give all your action cards +1, like your cards are blocking for 2, like that's a losing game plan.
Yeah. So it's interesting. We'll have to see. This next card is definitely going to see play. It's called Truth or Trickery. It is a yellow that blocks for 3, and it's a reviled Guardian block card. So this will always block 2 in Lyath. And when this defends, you may look at the top card of your deck and choose a color. If you do, the attacking hero guesses if that card is the chosen color. Then they look at it, and if they guessed wrong, they discard a card. Do you want to describe how this plays out? Because I think this card's also confusing, much in the way the old switcheroo is.
Yeah, so this card's pretty simple though. You block, and then you either name red, yellow, or blue. So let's say you block this and you say red, and then your opponent will say it's not red. You reveal a card, and if it is red, they discard a card. If it isn't red, nothing happens. So I think, like, mathematically speaking, if your deck is like only red and blues and it's like exactly 50-50, half the time they're gonna get it right and half the time they're gonna get it wrong. So it's like a 50% chance they discard a card whenever you block with this card. On average, right? Like just like I think most decks are gonna be like 50% blue, 50% red, and then you sprinkle in the yellows. You're almost never gonna say yellow on this card, I would assume, until something crazy happens.
Although it's interesting because we have seen quite a few yellow like Majestics, like the Charm is also in there. I don't know how many you'll actually play, but hypothetically, if your deck was like 20, this would be a 33% chance for them to guess right.
No, it's the other way around. I think it'll be 66% they'll guess right, because at that point they all should almost always say the other, like, it's not that color.
You're right. Because it just has to be not the color. They don't have to guess the correct color. They just have to guess whether or not you're telling the truth.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically you basically say you're lying or you're not lying, and that's all you have to say. So I guess, like, in a sense it's like 50-50. It's weird because, like, how often are you supposed to lie and how often you're not supposed to lie is gonna, like, depending on your ratio, might differ. My I think when this card first comes out, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna roll a die, and then just, like, depending on what it rolls, I will tell the truth or lie.
Yeah, I was sort of thinking about doing something similar. I haven't like there's a lot of like interesting things that you can do with this. Like your opponent can also choose to roll a die and just like ignore what you say. So I don't know. I think there's like some interesting like how are you supposed to resolve this card and how are you supposed to choose if you lie or not? Are you just supposed to always name blue? Like if half of your deck's blue, do you just name blue no matter what? But then if your opponent just thinks that you're I don't know. Yeah, there's definitely like layers to this card. It's an interesting card.
Wait. Oh, this is the funniest part. That's actually kind of a good question. Do you have to look at the card yourself? Like, can you just, like, keep it blind for yourself too and then name a color? I wonder if they will force you to look at the card.
Yeah.
It'll be kind of sick, right? Like, you just sit there, you block with truth or trickery, and you go blue.
It says you may look at the top card of your deck, so you don't have to. Oh no, and choose a color. So maybe you have to look and choose.
Do you have to look to be able to choose a color, or can you just, like, I guess you can pretend to look, I guess. But is that cheating at that point? I don't know.
But if you're always naming blue, does it matter if you look or not?
No, the mental damage you do to your
The
opponent.
mental damage. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all about, like, you stare at them straight in the eye and just be like, blue.
I have a feeling this card's gonna feel really fucking bad.
Oh yeah, this card's gonna swing games like crazy, and it's like, oh my god, this card's gonna be the worst thing to lose to, because, like, half the time you would have just won that game.
Yeah.
You know, the only problem with this card, or like the biggest problem with this card, is if you play this in your pitch stack, it's not gonna work because your opponent could technically remember your pitch stack.
Ooh, that is true.
So you have to play this first cycle.
Yeah, but it's like a block card, so I guess it is a yellow, so you can technically pitch it, but usually you're gonna block with it, I think.
Yeah. This card's a 6 value half the time and a 2 value half the time, right? Just, like, in general, or yeah, depends on what you get to your It depends on what you make your opponent discard, but, like, I'm assuming on average a card on offense is worth about 4 points ish. So, like, if you make them discard, it's about a 6, and if you don't, it's about a 2. So 6 plus 2 divided by 2 is 8. Oh, sorry, 8 divided by 2 is 4. So this card's theoretically worth roughly slightly less than 4. That's not bad.
Really good for a five-hander.
Yeah.
I guess one thing I'll say about this card is it's not good in multiples.
When this defends, you may look at the top card of your deck and choose a color.
They'll just know the card on the second one.
Oh, you right.
I guess it's like fine. Like you still got the discard, but if it potentially you got the discard on the first one, but it's definitely worse in multiples.
Maybe you don't play 3 copies in your deck.
Yeah, maybe you play 2, but maybe it's just so powerful that you just I don't know, you just play it anyways. It's hard to say.
No, but, like, the second copy in your hand is, like, just, like, absolutely awful. Because, like, as I said, you don't want to pitch it.
It blocks for 2. It's fine.
It blocks for 2, Yuki. 2 blocks that don't do anything else is not good.
Well, it's not good, but like I think a 2 block when you're 5-hander is like a little bit more acceptable, and I think that the upside, I think like if that's all that the card did, you wouldn't play it. But I think the upside of the rest of the time you draw it, I don't know. I could see this being a 2 of. I suspect it's a 3 of. This card seems messed up.
So we can agree that this card is like usually on average worth about 4, right? As a block
Yeah.
card.
Mm-hmm.
And like you almost never want to pitch this. If that's the case, we have Fiddler's Green. Fiddler's Green always blocks for 4, or is worth 4 points when you block with it. And if you don't die.
Yeah.
So like, why would you ever play this over Fiddler's Green if you just like want to guarantee a 4-point card on block?
I think discarding a card is like a little bit more complicated than being worth 4 or not. There are spots where this is worth so much more than 4, it's ridiculous. Like, for example, if Acilio's comboing and they have like one card left in hand and you're able to like block their last attack action and make them discard their spell, it's worth a ton. If you can stop a Dash IO from playing a max fee because you make them discard, that's worth way more than 4. So I think the ceiling on this is way more than 4. If there's like a Blood Rush Fellow, you do this. Like this is potentially like turn ruining. So like yes, if you're playing against like Syndra, maybe this card is very similar to Fiddler's Greens, but I think there's a lot of spots where this has like better applications than that.
Okay, that's reasonable. That's reasonable. I I'm just thinking like if I play this card, it's just gonna feel so bad when you know you're in the exact spot that you just mentioned. Your opponent has a max V as the last card in their hand. You Truth or Trickery and you lose. They just max V you anyways.
I don't know. I still think if you get honestly, I think getting your 2 block out of this when you're a 5-hander is like fine. Like it's not exciting, but I think that the upside is going to be worth it.
Worth it. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. This is interesting. This card is definitely interesting. It's we'll have to see. This might just be like a auto 3 of an every Lyath deck, or it might just be not playable at all. And like you just like there might just be a consistent enough Lyath deck where you can just like always convert your hand for like 20 points of value.
Well, that would be really broken, but yeah.
Rouse the Ancient helps you with that, so it's kind of crazy.
That's true. That's true. Okay. We've talked enough about truth or trickery. Want to do our next card?
Yeah. So the next card is an interesting card. It's called Gang Robbery. It's 0 cost, yellow, 1 power 3 block. It's a revealed action attack. And this card just reads, when this attacks a hero, steal an aura token they control. And if you control 3 or more auras, this gets plus 3 power. So this is like a 0 for 4 if you have a bunch of auras. But the thing that I want to talk about on this card is like the ability to steal an aura is kind of powerful. At least against right now the only hero that I'm really thinking about here is Fang. Like stealing a fealty is kind of insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or like in the past, illusionist. I mean, honestly, even like Prism, like stealing an aura. I mean, I guess maybe it's not that different from like breaking their aura. There's auras that are going to be better to steal.
It has to be a token, so
Well, it has to be a token. Okay, this is a lot worse than I thought.
it can only steal like fealties. It can. Oh my god, that was a really bad example. I was gonna say it can steal blood rot tokens, but don't do that. You can steal like embodiment lightnings. I think those are kind of good to steal if Aurora was still in the format. So like there's like a couple of like good auras to steal. Like if you can steal like a seismic surge from Volda, that's kind of sick. I feel like this card just like will have just enough like targets where you might want to sideboard this card. And against Fang, this is a crazy card against Fang, right? Like your opponent has 3 fealties, you're like gang robbery, take your 3rd fealty. I have just a fealty token, one you, but like I get to like completely disrupt your next turn.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I don't know. I think this might be too narrow, but yeah, I mean, maybe with the right metagame. It wouldn't surprise me if this card saw sideboard play somewhere, but
Yeah, I think that's where I'm looking at it too. Is like sideboard play of like being able to steal like specific auras that like mess up your opponent's game plan. Mostly like I'm mainly thinking about Volda and Fang. So if you want to beat those 2 decks, it's like kind of sick. Like you take their 3rd seismic surge, like it could like really mess up their turn. And this will be the last like Lyath specific card that we want to talk about, and I'm pretty high on it. This card called Cheap Shot. It's a yellow 0 cost revealed action, and it blocks for 2. But this card reads, if you've been booed this turn, you may play this card as though it were an instant. And what it does is deal 2 damage to target hero unless they discard a card.
Yeah. So this is kind of like a reckless swing style effect. You probably don't want 3 of them. Yellow, 2 block, not so great. But you can arsenal this, and then they can't really go to 0 cards without getting finished off. And with Lyath being able to boo just by activating his hero ability, this is kind of always a threat.
Yeah, so it just like essentially this costs 2 to play as an instant, right? Because Lyath costs 2 to boo your opponent, essentially.
Yeah, 2 in quotation marks because you also get the might and the +1 defense. So you potentially get extra value besides just the cost of this. But yeah, you need at least 2 resources if you want to play this as an instant on your opponent's turn.
And yeah, this card's sweet.
Something that I think helps this card, or like Reckless Swing is like a blue, and you basically always pitch it, and then you just play it when it kills them. Cheap Shot doesn't have the flexibility because it's not blue and it's not a 3 block, but I think just playing this card out is kind of okay. Converting a card to 2 is fine. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not the worst. Like, you either get a card or deal 2 damage. Like, they're both reasonable.
It's better than like playing a Reckless Swing most of the time. Is I guess what I'll say.
Oh, Reckless Swing?
Yeah, like comparing it to Reckless Swing, that's the 0 for 4 D react and brew, right?
Oh yeah. Okay,
Yeah. Like I think it doesn't have the flexibility of Reckless Swing to be pitched, but I think if you play it first cycle, it's like fine.
Yeah, I guess when you play Reckless Swing first cycle, you kind of like explode your own hand.
Yeah, because it's a random discard, it's just really hard to ever want to play that. Whereas like if you have a turn where you want to activate Lyath anyways, and maybe you like arsenal this, it's fine.
Yeah, you can also just play it as your action for turn as well, right?
Yeah, you can play it.
I think being yellow is actually kind of relevant though, because Lyath's ability costs 2 to activate. So like, if you're not playing Ram's Head, you could just like pitch the cheap shot, activate Lyath, and make your other cards block for 3.
Yeah, that is true. I do think you'll probably be playing Ram's Head, but yeah, I definitely see your point. You can do that.
It really just depends on his weapon, right? Because we don't know his weapon yet, and if it's a 2-hander weapon, you don't get to play Ram's Head.
That's fair. Yeah, maybe he just doesn't have a weapon like Gravy.
Then you just get to play Ram's Head with Titan's Fist, which seems to be very powerful right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I would assume his weapon's gonna be very good, and by the like density of like yellows that this hero's like main cards have been printed on, I have a feeling we don't need to play Ram's Head in this deck, or at least like his core design space was like designed around not needing the blue's extra pitch to activate Ram's Head.
Okay. Anything else about Cheap Shot before I go on?
I'm just ready to lose to this card more often than not now.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so the last card is actually a generic card, but we decided to include it here anyways. It's called Kick the Hornet's Nest. It is a yellow 3-cost attack action. It attacks for 6 and blocks for 3. It says, when an opponent's effect puts this into your graveyard from anywhere, create a confidence, might, toughness, and vigor token. I think that this card, it may have more applications than this, but I think that this card just is like a reasonable sideboard piece where it's like a yellow popper, like Yellow Raging Onslaught is a card that has like actually seen some play occasionally as a popper, just as like a resource card that is also a popper, and like Azalea. Not so relevant against current Prism because you really want 7 powers, but you know, there will be illusionists that aren't just playing Herald of Triumph all the time in the future. And the other spot this is really good is this is sort of like a anti-codex card in a similar vein to the what was the 2-block 6 power that people loved playing? Down and Dirty. It's kind of like a Down and Dirty, but it blocks for 3 the first time, and you let them, they pick CNC, you pick this, you get a confidence, might, toughness, and vigor token, which seems decent.
Yeah, it's like, you know, the biggest problem I have with this card is like, I want this card to like do a little bit more. I feel like this card like makes too many flat tokens, so like it doesn't really like work well together. Where like I wish like it made like 2 mights and a confidence, or like, you know, it just like made 2 toughness tokens, or I wanted to do like one thing more heavily than it being like so flat and being like I get a might and a confidence for offense and a vigor, and I get a toughness. It's like it's kind of hard to convert the vigor token. Confidence token might not matter that much, and then like toughness means you have to at least block with one card next turn. I don't know. I think it's a pretty reasonable card, and as you said, I think it is like an anti-codex type effect. It's kind of hard to imagine this card being that powerful.
You can also potentially discard it to Codex as well. But yeah, or just discard effects in general. So if there's a hero that makes you discard a lot, you could play this, but it's probably a bit less useful than Codex. But yeah, it really depends.
There's another card that this card's really similar to is Nasty Surprise.
Yeah,
And like Nasty Surprise, I feel like is a little bit better at doing like what this card wants to do. It says like when your opponent's effect puts it into your graveyard from anywhere, create an agility, might, and vigor token, where like all three of these tokens are like good on offense.
but I mean, confidence, might, and vigor is also good on offense. I guess what's like funny about this card is that I think the deck where I would be like the most certain this would see play is not in the format anymore in Azalea. But I think Azalea is a great example of a deck that would love this, where like yellows are good resource cards. You can always use a vigor because of Death Dealer. It's also a popper. So like in Azalea, this card would have been fantastic, and I don't know if we'll find as good a home for it in the future, but I think it's at least worth keeping an eye on. I think if you're a deck that can always make use of a vigor token, this card becomes pretty interesting, and I do think there is extra utility in this being a 6 power.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I don't think this is like, a staple on every deck by any means, but it's a card to keep in mind as a sideboard option, and I think that there will probably be a deck somewhere that wants to play this sometime.
I was just thinking like Nasty Surprise sees like very little play, and that card's a blue 3 block.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it attacks for a little bit less, but yeah, it like kind of fills the same role.
Yeah. The Nasty Surprise is like a card you can main deck, and I think this card gets some equity out of being a card that can also be a popper. Like
I guess they're like 4 different decks, like
yes,
against different decks. Yeah.
yeah, for yeah, I think they're good against different decks, and I think you play them probably in different decks too, and like different metas. Like right now, I don't know if this card is that great, but like in a world where you're worried about like Dromai and decks CNCing you, this card's really great, right? Potentially,
Yeah, because it's a popper.
yeah, you kind of get to like double dip on it. So I think that's like the biggest strength of this card is that it's also a popper. So I think that like you can potentially get like a sideboard card for like multiple matchups out of this card, which is what makes it interesting. Yeah, you need the right deck and the right meta for this card, and Azalea seems like the home that would have been really sweet for this. Even the confidence token in Azalea is like awesome. Like you basically get pseudo dominate. So yeah, this would have been really incredible in Azalea, but yeah, maybe I'll see play. We'll see.
I wish this card didn't say opponent's effect.
So you could like discard it with brute.
Oh yeah, if you discard with the brute, that'd be sweet. I was thinking of like you Liar's Charm. If you play Liar's Charm, target yourself, you can discard this card and make a confidence token for yourself.
Yeah, that would be pretty strong. I think that they just needed Gravy needed to be able to discard this card to his own effects, and then like Conqueror of the High Seas with confidence token. That sounds really good.
Well, they all the tipples are bad now. It's fine. uh, okay. So that was the last card we wanted to talk about, and I think we just wrap it up here. I think we talked a good amount today already about the cards. Do you have any thoughts about Lyath before we wrap up?
I wasn't sure like what to think of this hero when it was first spoiled, but as we've seen more of the cards, I think he seems pretty interesting. It seems like there's like quite a few directions you can take the deck with like the clash stuff, the buff stuff. He also just plays defense really well, and there's like the Rouse the Ancients endgame. So I think that Lyath seems actually like quite an interesting deck, and I'm pretty excited to go and start brewing. I think I will be spending at least some time on Lyath for sure. So yeah, I'm honestly pretty excited. I was like not too sure about this hero, and the more I see of him, the more I'm like, okay, this hero's pretty cool. I also kind of like the flavor of like that he has some of the clash cards, and like Victor has some of the clash cards, and they both kind of cheat, but in different ways. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's so funny. Man, why does Lyath get like booed on when, Victor's already cheating on his own front.
Yeah. Well, he's paying to win, so it's okay.
Oh, I see, I see. Oh, yeah, I guess he is paying to win. Okay, okay. Pay to win's fine, I guess, yeah. Okay, then you wanna wrap it up here?
Yeah, so that's gonna wrap us up for this week. Thank you all for listening. Hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to find us on social media, we're on Twitter. Jay is at Ueda J, and I'm at Yukili Bender. I am also on Blue Sky with the same tag at Yukili Bender. If you want to email us, you can email us at onthebauble@gmail.com, or you can find us through our Patreon Discord. If you're interested in that, check out patreon.com/onthebauble. Um, Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you all next week.
Do you have any sign off, or do you want to just wrap it up here?
Oh, I have a sign off. I've been playing 2 video games that are both pretty fun. I've been playing Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which is like the sequel to Breath of the Wild, and I've also been playing. I started out playing that game, and then Hollow Knight Silk Song came out, so then I started playing that game, and now I'm sort of playing both, and I'm like, oh, I have 2 games, and they're both kind of long. I don't know if I'll finish these, but for now, I'm really enjoying them. They're both kind of exactly what I was expecting, like as sequels. Like, Silk Song feels like Hollow Knight with extra stuff and different moves and more monsters, which is kind of exactly what I wanted, and feels like very similar otherwise. And similar stuff for Tears of the Kingdom. It reminds me a lot of Breath of the Wild with some like cool new abilities. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like sometimes sequels are like hard, and both of these sequels are very, very good. So I've been doing a lot of that on my spare time.
Okay. Reasonable, reasonable.
Would recommend either of those games to folks if they are looking for something to play. I guess if you don't know about Hollow Knight, it's a kind of like 2D platformer action RPG. It's a Metroidvania type game, so you traverse a map and get different power ups, and some of those help you fight in different ways, and some of those help you traverse the map in different ways so you can access new areas. Yeah, quite fun, quite challenging too. It has like a bit of a Souls like feel where the bosses are quite hard. If you die, you lose your money, then you have to get back to your body, and if you die again before you get back to your body, you lose all your money. So yeah, definitely can be quite punishing, challenging, but also very rewarding.
Okay. Is that's the game that's been like buzzing on social media of like how cheap the game is, right? Like it's like $25 or something for the game?
Yeah, I believe it's 20 USD, which is about like 26 Canadian or something like this. Which honestly, for what is kind of like one of the bigger releases of the year, is crazy. And for how polished the game is, it's crazy. So yeah, if like for the price, if you're at all interested in this game, this like style of game, I would really highly recommend it. And yeah, the art style and everything is, I mean, it's very much in line with Hollow Knight, but it's very good. So yeah, the game just feels like extremely well made and polished. At least I'm not like super far into it, but everything I've experienced so far has been great.
Yeah, that sounds good. I haven't played games in quite a while now. I guess no, that's not true. I play card games. Card games are still games.
Yeah, I guess I've also been playing card games, some Flesh and Blood, some Gundam. I think there's like a Gundam new type challenge. I don't even know what this is. It's like some store.
It's a PTQ.
Is it a PTQ?
I don't
Does
know.
it qualify me for something? It's
I,
something like that. It
I would
might
ass-
qualify me for something.
I would assume it's like a PTQ or a skirmish, one or the other.
Yeah, it's one of the two. I'm not actually really totally sure which one. I don't know what deck I'm playing. It's in 2 days. 2 days. So 3 days. 3 days. Maybe I'll play test, or maybe I'll just show up with the deck and see how it goes.
uh, yeah. It from what it looks like, it just looks like you get like
There's like
a
promos
promo
that you
card.
get.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think some of the promos for winning are pretty valuable because like some of the cards are like obviously like people like their shiny alt arts, and then also the cards themselves are like pretty playable cards. So
Yeah, it looks like the card you get for winning, if this is the exact card that I'm thinking about or that I looked up, it's $10.
oh, so I guess they're not that they're I guess they're not that much.
Right? Gundam Aerial Rebuild. Gundam Aerial Rebuild.
But it's like an alt art
067.
one, so it might be more. I don't know.
Oh, you're right. It might be an alternate art one, so it might be more. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, yeah. I know they're alt arts. The promos are all alt arts, but
I see. I see.
they're alt arts of playable cards, so they're worth at least something.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Anyways, I think that's a good spot to wrap us up. Thank you all for listening. If you're headed to Montreal, good luck in Montreal.
You're not
Neither of
gonna.
us will be there. I'm not going.
I'm going. I'm going.
You're going. Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
you can see Jay there, and good luck to Jay. And I'm not going because it's my cousin's wedding, and I'm excited to go to my cousin's wedding. I'm sad to miss the first Canadian colleague and the world premiere. Mixed
A-
feelings about it, but it is what it is.
And the only limited event for Super Slam.
Yeah, and the only limited event for Super Slam. There's like quite a few reasons that I really wish I could go to this event, but sometimes life is life. So
Yeah, once
yeah,
in a lifetime. Sorry, weddings only happen once in a lifetime, right? Or like for that person.
yeah,
You
yeah,
can't. You can't
exactly.
skip it. You can't skip it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm quite close with this cousin. I'm definitely like I'm not gonna skip it, but I wish I could do both, basically.
Yeah. Why can't you clone yourself, right? Unlucky.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. If only it was in Vancouver and the venues are next to each other and I can like run back and forth between the two. That sounds awful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It'll be awful if the wedding venue was like so close to the actual event, because then you get to see people. You might be able to see, you get to see people play, but you definitely won't be able to play. They'll be like, oh, if I take like 5 steps that way, I can pick up a new Super Slam card. I shouldn't do that though.
Yeah, yeah, that would be pretty funny.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. We'll wrap it up here.
Have a good night.